Hello and welcome to Global Fashion Workshop channel. Let me remind you that we upload a new video 3 times a week. We're continuing to work on our gala dress because we still haven't drafted the collar. Let's look here. This collar reminds us somewhat of a blazer collar, but different because this one is a stand-up notched collar, and we need to learn to work carefully with stand-up notched collars. The collar we will draft now, this knowledge will serve you a million times. This year I'm very much into collars. I want our clothes in general to have collars. I want to see good quality in garments. I think those mass market garments that simply have a hole finished in some kind of dubious way are not really flattering on us. So, let's make beautiful things with our own hands. When you learn to draft this type of collar, this will serve you numerous times, not only on a gala dress, but also on blazers, and in general, the more types of collars you know how to draft, the easier it will be for you to do. Because each time, I give you a different method, and then you can combine all this in your head, you try this method on that and another, and then combine all this knowledge in your head, and you will then find the method that will be easiest for you. So, let's look at the dress. We have a stand-up notched collar. The corners here are directed down. Before you begin to draft your collar, please decide what result you want, or have an image in front of you, or browse through the internet, or look at your own garments, or look around some garments in shops. You need to know exactly the shape of the collar, the shape of the lapel, the upper collar, the lapel width, and the gorge opening. The gorge is the point where the collar and lapel meet. So you need to know what distance here you want between your collar and the lapel. It could be very open or less open, this opening here. You need to have a very clear idea of what you want. Here we have a very small distance between the collar and the lapel. The collar ends and the lapel is right there next to it. We'll draft the same thing now. You will see everything. We'll put it on the dress form. I took this piece of yellow material here to make a sample on purpose so that you will see well against our darker fabric. If I would have taken the same darker green material, how would you be able to see it? No matter how hard our cameraman would try, you wouldn't be able to see it clearly. Don't measure the collar. There's no need to do anything. We start by first simply drafting a line. Just draw a line, a simple line. If this is our collar center, the edge of the paper, then just a line. This point here is our center back. Center back. My pencil doesn't want to write on this surface, never mind. Now, let's measure the distance for height of the neck. Here in front of me is the opening where we will be inserting the collar. We need to measure the back. How much we have in the back? I have 9 centimeters here. I'm not measuring the whole collar. I'm not measuring the whole opening, just this part here in the back. So I measure 9 centimeters from the center back and I put a point. 9. So far, it's very simple. We just put a line and measured and marked the point. Next, we have our dress in front of us. See how I pinned both halves? Shoulder with shoulder, dart with dart, lapel with lapel. Prior to drafting, pay attention to the neatness of this line here. Yes, I must say that this line must be beautiful. Whichever direction it is in, whatever shape it has, etc., the line must be perfect. If your line is crooked, your collar will not be beautiful. Beautiful garments and beautiful collars are made out of very beautiful lines. So, verify this line to ensure that it's perfect. And now I measure 6 centimeters from the edge of the lapel. I put a chalk mark at 6 centimeters. What do we have on the dress? We have a pinned back, neckline, lapel, and a point for start of the collar. Here is my mark for beginning of collar. Now, I place the shoulder seam to the point 9 here. Why, you might ask, why do we need to draft from the garment and not from some pattern? Because when we were cutting out this line, we cut it freely. We didn't follow any guidelines. Because what rules would we follow? We could cut it this way or that, less concave, more concave, higher, lower, etc. Every garment has its own line here, and that's why we work with this line for each garment. Now look, I put it down and I'm holding it straight. The line is not very straight here, but I'm holding it down straight. And then I simply lay it as is. You can see here what I did. And now I trace from point 9 to the end of the collar. I'm simply tracing this distance. I put it, and now I draw the lapel width. I want 1 centimeter here. 1 centimeter, here it is. Here I measure 7 centimeters. And I draw a straight line up to here. Here you draw a straight line, but when I say straight, whenever it's regarding an arm side or a neckline or a collar line, collar edges, front edges, etc., it doesn't mean that you need to take a ruler and trace a perfectly straight line. The line is relatively straight, but it still needs to have some life. See here how I drew this. This point here I got it from the dress. I'll show you again in a moment. And here I measured 7 centimeters. Here it is, 7. How did I find these points? I'll show you again. I placed the shoulder seam to point 9 so that our distance here matches. I could have even skipped measuring. I could have simply put it on and marked, but I measured it. And then I simply traced this line. I marked the point for start of collar. Here I traced, and I'll mark it again with a ruler now. I found this point. The collar could have been like this here. That would also be correct. It doesn't necessarily mean that every dress will have this kind of collar. This kind is also perfectly correct. Any kind of any shape you want. So I will trace everything now, but this is not yet our final collar. Let me trace it again. Here's our straight line up to the shoulder seam, the line that we traced from the dress, beginning of collar, what a wonderful color. But this is not our final color yet. We're continuing to work on it. We need to do some more work. If I ever manage to prepare some material on collars, I will be very proud of myself. So far, this is what we have. Here's the collar we cut out. Now in the back part, well, without calculating, just make 3 cuts here starting from the center back, from the outer edge. About 2 centimeters apart. It doesn't matter. Don't calculate anything. Just make cuts and that's it. And now we open each cut by about 3 millimeters. This way, just a bit. Don't open too much, otherwise we'll get a flat laying collar as in children wear. We need a stand-up collar. This way, just a bit, literally 3 millimeters. I'm not saying it just like that, I literally mean 3 millimeters. 3 millimeters. Well, I'm not going to trace it with a marker now and then remove it. I'll cut it right away. And because we opened it up a bit, our collar will turn from a straight one into a more shaped one. Any shape, any corner, any shape you want, you make it. You don't need to search in magazines and Berta or anywhere else, spend your time searching for patterns and depend on them. You'll see now how different it looks. See how I opened it just a bit and now the collar is very slightly curved here. Don't open too much. The more we cut and open, the collar can turn into a completely flat piece. This is our collar. Now I'll cut it out. I will not add seam allowances on the outside. I'll only add them on the bottom edge so that I can baste it in. Today we have a small practical exercise. It's short, but very important. Because if we know how to draft collars, well, this means something. From this side, I add 7 millimeters. You see how our line is not so simple anymore as it was in the beginning. When you will be cutting your collars, I have a big favor to ask. Don't add centimeters here. That's impossible. You will then be battling with the seam allowances and you won't know what to do with them. Since this is my sample and I need to visualize how it will look like, I'm not adding any allowances here. But you will add your seam allowances, stitch your seams, and you will calculate yourself the size of collar you need to have. Oh my gosh, what a beauty! What a magical collar! By the way, we can also make a notch for the shoulder seam, so make these two. Those of you who will make notches like Irina Paukshte is making in her lessons, your collars will all fall apart. Don't make notches like this. I'm making them like this so you can see. Here's our collar. Gosh, what a cutie. And here's our collar. Look at this beauty. What a knockout. I only have left to baste it to the dress and put it on the dress form. Our collar has notches, center back. Here's the center back matched to the center back, shoulder notches matched to the shoulder, shoulder with the shoulder, beginning of collar with the point of beginning of collar. A beauty. Now I'll baste it in and we'll show you. All the points are matching, no need to think about anything, simply baste it in, from point to point. I purposefully took yellow because you wouldn't be able to see anything if I made a dark green color on a dark green dress.
Прекрасно.
Oh, wonderful. When you draft the collar by tracing your garment, you won't have any troubles in the end. Will my collar match? Will it not? Will the points match? Will they not? Or is there too much neckline? Or is there too much collar? Or does it not match? Or anything else? You will not have a single problem. So now I'm putting it on the dress form and showing you the result. Here is our sample collar. We always baste it like this, verify and ensure that everything is correct, and only then we cut it from the main fabric, without having any shadow of a doubt. So look how beautiful. What a nice, logical collar. And here it's standing up, and because we opened it up, it doesn't go too high up on the neck, but still has a close fit. But for those who like their collars to fit more loosely, when you go to press it, you can slightly stretch this edge here, but not too much, just a little bit. Here we showed you everything. We had a whole bunch of videos on this dress already, and we're still hoping to see it finished. When the skirt will be finished with a wide interfaced facing, when the lining will be in, the dress, of course, will look different. With a long sleeve, the dress, of course, will have the finished look as it looks on the photo. On this note, I'm saying goodbye to you. Be different and reinvent yourself every day. Click like, share our videos on social media, and subscribe to our channel. All the best from myself, Irina Paukshte, and our entire team.